The vast conference room hummed with an uncomfortable silence. Michael Park sat perfectly still, his weathered hands resting on the smooth metallic table. Around him, 3 alien representatives from the Galactic Confederation studied him with a mixture of curiosity and mild contempt. Kira Choi, the lead alien commander, had deep azure skin that shifted colors subtly when she moved. Her large almond-shaped eyes blinked with a rhythmic precision that seemed almost mechanical. Next to her, Jae Kim, the science officer, continuously tapped strange translucent devices that recorded every minute detail of the human's presence. Michael wore his old military jacket, faded green with patches from different Earth conflicts. A small scar ran across his left cheek, a testament to battles fought in environments most species would consider uninhabitable. The aliens didn't know it yet, but this single human would change their entire understanding of biological adaptation. "You claim humans can survive conditions that would instantly destroy our species," Sung Han, the tactical analyst, stated more than asked. His voice carried a tone of academic skepticism. Michael simply smiled. It was a smile that made the aliens uncomfortable. A smile that suggested stories of survival beyond their comprehension. The room's environmental controls were set to perfect conditions for the alien delegation. Cool, precise, with atmospheric pressure and temperature calibrated to their specific biological needs. Michael, however, seemed completely unaffected. He could have been sitting in a military barrack, a desert outpost, or a freezing mountain ridge. Kira leaned forward, her skin momentarily shifting to a deep purple, a sign of intense intellectual engagement among her species. "We have studied human records. Your planet seems unremarkable. How have you survived?" Michael's laugh was short and sharp. It wasn't a laugh of mockery, but of someone who had seen too much to be surprised by anything anymore. "Survival isn't about perfect conditions," he said. "It's about adapting when conditions are anything but perfect." Jae Kim's translation devices worked overtime, struggling to capture the nuanced meaning behind Michael's simple statement. The aliens exchanged quick glances, their communication happening through subtle skin color changes and minute hand movements. The human wore no advanced protective gear, no special environmental suit, just a worn military jacket, standard-issue boots, and an expression that suggested he had walked through hell and considered it a mild inconvenience. Sung Han pulled up holographic data streams, showing survival, statistics of various galactic species. Humans were an anomaly, a species that survived in environments that should have killed them within minutes. Extreme temperatures, radiation levels, atmospheric pressures that would crush most organic beings. Humans not only survived but often thrived. Michael knew what they were thinking. He had seen that look before, during interstellar diplomatic meetings, scientific conferences, and military briefings. It was the look of beings trying to understand something completely outside their frame of reference. "Would you like to hear a story?" Michael asked, his voice calm and steady. The aliens froze. Their communication systems began recording, anticipating what might be the most unusual narrative they had ever encountered. Kira nodded, her skin shifting to a pale green, a color indicating intense anticipation. Michael took a deep breath. This wasn't just a story. This was about to be a lesson in human resilience that would challenge everything the Galactic Confederation thought they knew about survival. Outside the conference room, stars glimmered against the vast darkness of space. Somewhere out there were countless worlds, each with its own rules of survival. But in this moment, a single human was about to rewrite those rules. The first tale was about to begin. The conference room grew silent as Michael Park's eyes took on a distant look. The alien delegation leaned forward, their skin changing colors with anticipation. The Andes Mountains had been brutal that winter. Michael's unit was tracking a critical communication relay that needed repair, a mission most would have considered impossible. Temperatures dropped to -40 degrees, winds cut like razor blades, and oxygen was so thin that breathing felt like swallowing glass. "We had limited supplies," Michael began. "Just standard gear, some emergency rations, and our training." The aliens exchanged confused glances. Their technology could predict and prevent such extreme scenarios. Survival missions were carefully calculated, with multiple backup systems and guaranteed extraction protocols. Humans seemed to operate differently. Michael described how his team of 6 soldiers had been dropped into a mountain region where most advanced scanning systems couldn't even function. No satellite communication, no precise tracking, just human intuition and pure survival skills. On the 3rd day, their primary heating equipment failed. Most military units would have requested immediate extraction. Michael's team did something unexpected. They adapted. They used broken equipment parts to create makeshift wind barriers. Sleeping bags were strategically layered with soldiers rotating positions to share body heat. One team member, a young soldier from a tropical region, knew how to create fire using minimal resources, a skill learned from his grandmother's traditional teachings. J. Kim's translation devices struggled to capture the complexity of human survival strategies. These weren't just technical solutions. They were a blend of technology, cultural knowledge, and pure human determination. The team ate minimal rations, melted snow for water, and used their body heat as the primary warmth source. When one soldier developed early signs of hypothermia, they didn't panic. Instead, they implemented a careful rotation system, sharing body heat and monitoring each other's conditions. "We lost no one," Michael said simply. Sung Han's holographic displays showed impossible survival statistics. The human body should have shut down within hours in such conditions. Yet Michael's team had survived for 7 days in an environment that would have killed most advanced species instantly. The alien delegation was stunned. Their survival protocols involved complex technological interventions. Humans seemed to survive through a combination of psychological resilience, practical problem-solving, and an almost stubborn refusal to give up. Michael's story wasn't just about physical survival. It was about human adaptability. They didn't just endure, they found ways to thrive in conditions that should have been fatal. Kira Choi's skin shifted through multiple colors, a sign of deep intellectual processing. Her species relied on advanced environmental suits and precise technological interventions. Humans appeared to rely on something more fundamental, an ability to adapt, improvise, and survive. "How did you maintain morale?" J. Kim asked, his translator, struggling to capture the nuanced human concept. Michael smiled. "We talked. We shared stories. We remembered why we were there." The aliens realized this was more than a survival narrative. This was a glimpse into human psychology, a complex system of emotional support that transcended traditional survival mechanisms. The mountain story represented more than a military mission. It was a microcosm of human existence, finding hope in hopeless situations, creating solutions where none seemed possible, and supporting each other through impossible challenges. As Michael finished speaking, the conference room felt different. The alien delegation no longer saw a simple human soldier. They saw a representative of a species that defied conventional understanding of survival. Stars continued to shine outside, silent witnesses to a story that would challenge everything they knew about life in the universe. Kira, Jay, and Sung sat in stunned silence. Their understanding of survival was about to be completely rewritten. The radiation levels were lethal. Most advanced species would have immediately withdrawn, sealing the contaminated urban zone and declaring it a total loss. But humans operated differently. Michael's fingers traced an invisible map on the conference room table, drawing the alien delegation into another impossible narrative. The city had been a battleground, transformed into a radioactive nightmare by a complex technological conflict that defied standard warfare protocols. "We didn't have specialized equipment," Michael explained, "just creativity and determination. The urban landscape was a maze of broken concrete, twisted metal, and dangerous radiation zones. Standard protective gear would have cost millions and taken weeks to develop. Michael's team had less than 48 hours to complete their mission and survive. They used everyday materials in ways no military strategist could have predicted. Aluminum foil from emergency ration packages became makeshift radiation shields. Old car batteries were converted into temporary communication devices. Thick layers of duct tape sealed potential radiation entry points in their clothing. J. Kim's scientific instruments began recording every detail, struggling to comprehend the human approach to survival. These weren't just random actions. They were calculated, intelligent responses to an impossible scenario. One team member, a former construction worker, understood structural vulnerabilities. Another, with a background in chemistry, knew how to create basic protective compounds using limited resources. They weren't just soldiers. They were a collective of skills, adapting moment by moment. Their mission was critical, retrieving essential communication data from a central server located in the most radioactive section of the city. Most technological systems would have failed instantly. Human determination saw a different possibility. They moved slowly, carefully measuring radiation levels with improvised detection tools. Layers of clothing, sealed with industrial tape, created makeshift protection. Where technology failed, human ingenuity stepped in. Sung Han watched the holographic reconstruction with growing fascination. The human team moved like a single organism, each member compensating for potential weaknesses, sharing resources, maintaining constant communication. Michael described how they rotated positions, minimizing individual radiation exposure. Those with slightly more resistance took point positions. Those with medical knowledge monitored everyone's health. It wasn't just a mission, it was a complex dance of survival. When their primary communication device failed, they used a combination of hand signals, written notes, and predetermined communication protocols. No advanced technology, just human adaptability. The alien delegation realized they were witnessing something profound. This wasn't just a military operation. This was a demonstration of human potential, the ability to transform limitations into opportunities. Kira Zhou, skin shifted through multiple colors indicating intense intellectual processing. Her species would have deployed hundreds of specialized robots, spent months designing protective systems. Humans solved the problem with creativity and teamwork. They retrieved the critical data. They survived the mission. They returned with minimal health complications, a result that defied every standard survival metric. "How is this possible?" J. Kim whispered, his translation devices struggling to capture the complexity of human adaptation. Michael's smile was simple. "We don't accept impossible," he said. "We find solutions." The conference room felt charged with a new understanding. These weren't just survival stories. These were lessons in human potential, a species that saw challenges as opportunities, that transformed limitations into strengths. Outside, stars continued their silent watch. Another layer of galactic understanding was being written, one human story at a time. The aliens looked at Michael differently now. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a representative of something more, a testament to human resilience. The silence in the conference room felt heavy. Michael's eyes carried memories that seemed to weigh more than physical burden. The alien delegation leaned forward, sensing something profound was about to be shared. Psychological warfare wasn't about weapons. It was about human spirit. Michael's unit had been trapped in a prolonged conflict zone where traditional military strategies meant nothing. Isolation, limited resources, constant environmental challenges, these were their real enemies. Not just external threats, but the internal battle against hopelessness. They were cut off from standard communication for 23 days. No direct support. No clear extraction plan. Just 8 soldiers and an impossible situation. Their youngest team member David was barely 22. Fresh from military training, he carried the weight of potential failure like a physical load. But something remarkable happened. Instead of breaking, the team transformed their isolation into a strength. They created daily rituals, morning exercises, shared storytelling, strategic planning sessions that became moments of collective hope. Each soldier brought something unique, personal skills that transcended military training. One soldier knew traditional songs from his grandmother's village. Another could calculate complex mathematical problems in his head. Another understood basic medical techniques. They weren't just a military unit. They were a living, breathing ecosystem of human potential. Kira Choi's skin began shifting colors rapidly, a sign of intense emotional processing among her species. Humans weren't just surviving. They were creating meaning in impossible conditions. Food became scarce. Communication was limited. Environmental conditions were brutal. But their psychological resilience remained unbroken. They shared personal stories during night watches, dreams about families, childhood memories, future hopes. These weren't just conversations. They were psychological anchors that kept them connected to something larger than their immediate survival. When one soldier showed signs of mental fatigue, the others recognized it immediately. They didn't see weakness. They saw a team member who needed support, rotation of responsibilities, shared emotional labor, complex understanding of human psychology that no technological system could replicate. Sung Han's analytical instruments struggled to process the data. Traditional survival metrics meant nothing here. This was about something more profound: human connection. David, the youngest soldier, became their emotional center. His initial fear transformed into a source of collective strength. He started documenting their experience, creating a narrative of survival that became their psychological lifeline. They created games, developed internal communication codes, maintained physical fitness with limited resources. Their mental training became as crucial as their physical survival strategies. When rescue finally arrived, the team's psychological condition was what shocked the rescue teams most. Not just survival, but a sense of collective achievement. No visible trauma. No breakdown of unit cohesion. "We didn't just survive," Michael said quietly. "We remained human." The alien delegation experienced something unprecedented. These weren't just survival techniques. This was a masterclass in human psychological resilience. J. Kim's translation devices captured something beyond words: the emotional frequency of human determination. It wasn't about individual survival. It was about collective hope. The stars outside seemed to pause, witnessing a narrative that challenged everything known about species survival. Michael's voice carried no heroism, no dramatic tone, just a simple recounting of human potential. A story of 8 individuals who transformed isolation into an opportunity for collective growth. The conference room felt different now. The aliens no longer saw a human soldier. They saw a representative of a species that could transform psychological challenges into a source of strength. Kira's skin settled into a deep, respectful blue, a color signifying profound understanding and recognition. Humans weren't just a species. They were a complex, adaptable, emotionally intelligent life form that defied standard universal classifications. The story wasn't over, but something fundamental had changed in that moment of shared understanding. The conference room transformed. What began as a standard diplomatic meeting had become something entirely unexpected. Michael Park had done more than share stories. He had fundamentally challenged the Galactic Confederation's understanding of intelligent life. Kira Choi stood slowly, her skin shifting through colors that represented complex emotional processing. Humans were no longer just another species in their vast galactic database. They were something more. A wild card of potential and unpredictability. The holographic displays around the room continued playing Michael's narratives, moments of human survival that defied every known scientific principle. Survival wasn't just about technology. It was about something deeper, more fundamental. Sung Han's analytical systems worked over time. Humans represented a statistical anomaly, a species that could adapt, survive, and thrive in conditions that should have been impossible. Their survival wasn't just physical. It was psychological, cultural, deeply interconnected. "We underestimated you," Kira said quietly. The words carried the weight of a massive institutional realization. Michael didn't celebrate. He didn't need to. The stories spoke for themselves. Decades of human experience compressed into moments of pure survival and determination. The Galactic Confederation's entire strategic approach would need recalibration. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized and managed. They were a transformative force, unpredictable, resilient, capable of turning limitations into opportunities. J. Kim's scientific instruments showed something remarkable. Human potential wasn't linear. It wasn't predictable. It was a complex, dynamic system of adaptation that could change moment by moment. Outside the conference room, the universe continued its silent expansion. But something had changed. The understanding of what intelligent life could be had just been rewritten. The alien delegation realized they were witnessing more than a presentation. This was a paradigm shift. Humans weren't just survivors. They were creators, innovators, beings who could transform challenge into opportunity. Michael's stories weren't just about military missions. They were about the human spirit, a force that could not be measured by traditional technological or biological standards. Kira understood now why human representatives had been gaining influence across multiple galactic sectors. It wasn't about advanced technology. It was about something more profound, the ability to adapt, to hope, to find meaning in the most impossible situations. The conference room felt charged with a new energy. The boundaries between species seemed to blur. Humans were no longer an unknown quantity. They were a potential. Sung Han's final report would be revolutionary. Humans could not be understood through standard analytical frameworks. They required a completely new approach to understanding intelligent life. Michael remained calm. He wasn't trying to impress. He was simply sharing truth, the raw, unfiltered experience of human survival. The alien delegation saw beyond the individual stories. They saw a species that could transform every limitation into a source of strength, a species that didn't just survive, but found meaning in survival. J. Kim's final translation captured something profound. Humans are not defined by their conditions. They are defined by their response to those conditions. The stars outside seemed to pause, witnessing this moment of galactic understanding. No weapons had been used. No advanced technology demonstrated. Just stories. Just human experience. The Galactic Confederation would never be the same. Humans had just changed the entire understanding of what intelligent life could be. Michael's final smile wasn't triumphant. It was simple. The smile of someone who knew that the real story was always about something more than survival. The universe continued its silent dance. But something fundamental had shifted. Humanity had just been recognized as a force to be understood, respected, and never underestimated.